One of the things about eggs, for the listeners, there's a scale called the amino acid utilization scale. And so they take different foods and they see how much of it will actually go to make protein. Like a steak, for example, less than 30% of that meat will actually go to make muscle mass. It'll break down in a variety of ways and you'll get lots of things out of it, but eventually a lot of sugar out of it, even. And so the amino acid utilization scale is seeing how much of that product will actually go to make muscle. The highest level is mother's milk, human mother's milk, at almost 50%. But the second highest are eggs, good quality eggs with an amino acid utilization that's more than twice eating a steak. So good eggs, boy, that's right at the heart of everything. Hi, and welcome to The Balancing Point. I'm Dr. John Nieters, and I'm here to make traditional Chinese medicine, functional medicine, and integrative health simple, practical, and fun so you can restore balance, boost vitality, and enjoy a healthier life every single day. Hi, y'all. Thanks for joining us again here in another episode of The Balancing Point. And today I'm really delighted to have a kind of a special guest, actually. Not kind of, he is a special guest. And it's someone I've known for quite a while. And as some of you know, my real goal at this point in my life and this point in my career is to help people make life-changing decisions. I'm working on my book, Never, Ever, Ever Give Up, and doing talks about that subject, about how to be told you're basically that you're dying and then come up with a way to turn it around. And so many people don't. They either don't take the steps or they just don't believe it can happen. And my guest today is Karl Okulove, and Karl is one of those people that really turned it around. Now, Karl, 62-year-old California native, grew up in the South Bay Area, and when he was young, about 21, he went into a career that took him to eventually becoming a chief operating engineer. Now, for those of you that don't know, those are the brightest in a particular way of anybody I know. My dad was a chief engineer. My son-in-law is a chief engineer. And these are people that can make or do anything. I would go to the dump with my dad back in the days when you could wander around and take as much stuff out as you took in, right? And invariably, he would find stuff. I remember one day he found a couple little tanks and motors. I made 2 air compressors. And then next time we went out, he figured a way to make a drill to take up to his property and drill for water. And that's what he does. And that's where Karl's at. He's one of those incredibly innovative people. But what I want him to do here today is talk about his journey from getting a very bad news from his medical doctor and what he did about it. So Karl, welcome.
Hi,
It's good to
thank
have
you.
good to have you on. Tell us about that trip to the doctor, the one that kinda turned things around for you.
Oh, well, that was a day that was particularly stressful. I was on my way into work, sitting at the intersection at the corner across from the corporate facility that I was in charge of at the time. So they moved me out of the engineering thing and made me the manager of the whole place. And I still had to do the engineering job and I had to do my boss's job. So I had a meeting coming up with a particularly troubling employee and it was stressing me out. So I started having what I thought were a heart attack in the left-hand turn lane going into lane. So I going into work. So I got on my phone and dialed the security guards. I knew they had defibrillators. So I was going to have them run over the intersection and defibrillate me if I was having a heart attack. But it calmed down. Turned out it was just a severe palpitation that was extended length of time. It just kept on going. And finally it stopped. Go in, call my doctor. She says, come and see me right away. She's okay. You're out of here. I'm going to send you right down to the street to the cardiologist. Go see him right away. So he brought me in, questioned me about my job, checked my pulse, this and that. I had a really high heart rate. He took some blood and I sat there for a little while. He came back, we did a little, the typical doctor meeting. And when he came back, he says, Karl, you need to unplug immediately. So what's going on? He says, you're about to have a massive heart attack, and it's not a survivable one. It's what they call a widowmaker. You're going to die.
Okay.
So my first reaction, sorry, all I can think of was my 8-year-old son. Sorry,
Well,
not
one of the
having a dad.
questions I ask my patients in one way or another after I've taken their information is, what is your why? What's your reason for wanting to live? What do you need to be here for? And I find that that why, this in this case, your 8-year-old son, is what causes people to change direction and make changes in their lives. Otherwise, there's a tendency to just kind of keep cruising along. But when you get
Right,
that information from your doctor and you immediately the face of your son pops into your head, like, "I wanna be here for him." Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was my son and my wife, but the first person I thought of was my son. What's my son gonna do without a dad? And I just couldn't fathom that. So I drove home in tears, see my wife, ask her, "What are we gonna do?" She says, "You're gonna quit. We'll be fine." So the doctor gave me some time off of work, said, "Hang up, turn off your phone, don't talk to anybody at work. Just write your boss or call them, tell them you're not coming in, and you're gonna take the rest of the week off. My suggestion to you is to unplug and find something else to do because you're going to die." And the building engineering job is pretty stressful. You're in charge of data centers. There's no downtime allowed. You're on call 24/7. I was on call 24/7 since I was 20 years old. And I think I was 50, 54, 55 at the time when I got that news, or at about there, 55, somewhere thereabouts. And then, so I said, "What are we gonna do? All my contacts are here, all my information, everything I know is here. It's what I know, it's what I do." And so I thought about it for a minute. No, by the way, no, it's easy for my wife to say, "Quit, we'll be fine." She's from Thailand, so they live a very simple life. And mm, so it was a little bit, I don't know how to explain it, but it was easy for her to say, "Just quit, we're gonna be fine, no matter what." And so I did. The following week, I drafted to resigning a letter to resign, and I resigned. I came into work, collected my things, and I walked out the door. Went home, sat around for a couple weeks, went to another doctor, and then found out I had another thing along with the heart problem, the CLL, the chronic lymphatic leukemia. So that kind of sent me in an emotional spiral. And I said, I have to do something about this. And one of the things came to mind is I knew I needed to come see you, and I did. And I came and saw you before I moved. I came and saw you, and you saw my C-reactive protein was through the roof, and a variety of things. You gave me some stuff. Within about 30 days, a month or so, I came back and saw you, and my C-reactive protein was within tolerable limits from the TCM herbs supplements you had prescribed to me. I changed my diet, and I hadn't decided to move away yet. It was about a year it took me to decide to actually just leave the Bay Area. And then you had told me about, my liver was inflamed because I had been drinking a lot from the stress at work. I gained a lot of weight. I was about 230 pounds, and I couldn't tie my shoe. I couldn't bend over. I couldn't breathe. Everything was so tight inside my body, so full of fat. I couldn't bend over to tie my shoe. I had to ask my wife to tie my shoe. I had to put my shoe up on a stool or something just so I could tie it. And then I was winded tying my shoe. So you suggested that it would be good for me to try the liver cleanse and the gallbladder thing that I did with you and Catherine. So I did. It was a 10-day cleanse. And I have to say that I don't remember it. My wife remembers it. She don't won't allow me to do it because she says I was a real grump. But I the biggest takeaway from it was it wasn't that bad. The first 2 days was kind of weird at night. There's this weird sensation in my body and my blood. It's just an odd sensation. But after that, it kind of was a downhill roll with the program. And it changed my desire for sugar. I couldn't drink juices any longer. I stopped drinking alcohol, and that went on for about a year until I tried a beer again. Boy, that was good. And, uh, but I went over in a 11-month period of time, I dropped 55 pounds. And the jump start for me was the liver cleanse because it changed my desire for sweets, for heavy carbs, for alcohol. I just didn't have a desire for it any longer. And I could just tell when I put something in my mouth to eat, my body would reject things, especially things that had sugar in them. And I just couldn't do it. And basically saved my life by making that change. And then I decided to come up with the beer. But I'll stop here and see if you have any other thing to.
No, I that's just an amazing story. And what's really wonderful about it is I've heard similar stories by a few people. Not I mean, not with the cardiologist, but in
Right.
terms of doing liver gallbladder cleanse. My first cleanse, I did a I was young and crazy, so I just did a water fast for a
Yeah.
week, right?
Uh-huh.
And when I came home so it's the first day I was miserable. The second day I was miserable because I wasn't eating anything. Third day I
Uh-huh.
thought, I got the flu. Fourth day I started feeling really good.
Uh-huh.
Fifth day it was like, wow, I don't remember ever feeling this good. Sixth day it was like I'm sitting at the right hand of God. And the seventh day, well, maybe I am God. I mean, it was amazing. I came home from the mountains, played the best softball game I ever played in my life, and I hadn't eaten in a week. And so I had planted a bunch of vegetables in my yard, and for some reason, I planted beets because I did not like beets. The only beets I'd ever eaten were my mom's that she got from a can. Well, I came home and I went out in my garden and I pulled up a beet and I started eating it, and I
Oh, so good.
almost couldn't eat it because it was so sweet.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
I did, I ate it, it was just amazing, and I've got this red juice from the beet running down my face, and my neighbor comes over and goes, "What the heck are you doing?" So but yeah, you lose your sweet tooth, you lose all of those
You
cravings,
do.
it's amazing.
So,
So
by the way,
yeah.
I just planted a bed of beets in our market
Oh my
farm last
god.
night. Yeah.
Uh, alright. So then tell us what happened about your decisions about, heading north.
Oh, so I kinda hung around for a while, and, I'm gonna sidetrack for just a second. So, you know the saying, "Cleanliness is close to godliness." Have you heard that before? Have
Yeah,
your
my
parents
mom used to say that all the
Yeah,
time.
okay. So, what I found, I just thought it was just a mom saying about cleaning your sock drawer and making sure your clothing was folded and all that kinda stuff and
Right.
put away right. No, I found out differently. So, my epiphany was this cleanliness is close to godliness is when about 8, 9 months into my weight loss program and just my clean eating, and I started doing a little more meditating, started doing binaural beats and started doing neurosynchronization, with the headphones and
Right.
this kind of thing, and I do these meditations, and I started getting into a really blissful state, and it came to me, it's like, this is what it means, cleanliness is close to godliness, because I started becoming what I would call more aware, more I don't know if the right term for it is omniscient. That's kind of big, but I just became aware of things that I never was before. And they were all very simple. And this whole thing about being well was also simple. It was all a matter of how your mind works and how you think about yourself and making a choice to make a change and just making that decision. And once you do, it's downhill from there. And you don't realize how simple being well actually is, and it's a matter of changing your mind, and matter of fact, never minding a lot of the noise. That
Oh,
was my
that's
motto,
great.
never mind. So, back to answer your question, what
Uh-huh.
made where I got to leaving. So I decided, okay, my wife and I was well again. I said, well, I was doing I took on a little with my contractor, so I just took on a handyman business, helping people fix things around their house and this kind of thing, and to get a little extra money, keep me busy. My wife wanted me out of the house, so kept me out of the house. And I went on for about a year, and I decided that maybe I should go back to work. Let me go check it out. So I filled out an application for a big, one of the high tech companies, a big one in the South Bay. And I went in there. They had three positions, all of which I were qualified for: the facilities manager, the data center manager, and the chief engineer job. I was qualified for all three, but they wanted me to choose which one I wanted. So I picked the easiest one. It was the data center manager. I didn't have a lot of them. We wouldn't have a lot of employees. That's what took me out, was having to fire people. And I went in for the interview, and the fellow came in. I could have swore I was meeting Homer Simpson in real life. He had donut glaze on his face. He had a beer belly, huge. And I kind of went through that myself, and I saw it. And it's like, the first thing guy says, "Do you realize that this job has a lot of stress?" I said, "I do, and I could see that." So anyhow, I did the interview. It went fine. I walked out of there. I said, "I'm not answering their calls. I'm not ever going back. I'm done." I went home. I had a 55-gallon drum that I was going to turn into a smoker for barbecuing. I took that drum, instead of turning it into a smoker, got all my study books, all of my certificates, all of my manuals, and all the things I learned, all the techie stuff I learned over the years for the buildings. I started a fire in the drum, and I started throwing it all in. I burned it all. I just burned it. I didn't care, and I was done over it. And that was my ritual, knowing I was making a change. So I just got rid of the past of work and walked away. And I told my wife, "We're going to sell the house. We're going to leave." And at the same time, it was COVID. And we were being, I guess, I'm going to call it, threatened with, I can't really talk too much about it, I'm sure, but we were being told that we had to do this and had to do that. And we just didn't buy it. So, and the kids were out of school, and if the kid was going to go back to school, the parents had to do something that I didn't want to do because I had the blood issue, the CLL. I didn't want to risk interfering with that. I just wasn't interested. And so we decided, let's just get out of here. Told my wife, "We're selling a house." Okay, fine. Called the realtor. He was there the next day. My wife said, "What are you doing? It's too soon." I need time. I need time. So anyway, so I made up my mind. We're leaving. So we're out of here. We're going to leave as soon as possible. So we did. We put the house up for sale. I fixed it up, made a bunch of money on the house, as I do when I fix houses up. And then, sold it. And rather than waiting for escrow and finding a place and waiting for our place to sell and this and that, I bought a motorhome, and big enough to fit my wife, my son, and my daughter and I, without us getting, in each other's hair. So we parked at a campground for 9 months looking for a property. Finally, we found our ranch. It was an old horse ranch. Used to be a horse farm. And we bought that and turned it into a market farm and a chicken farm. And we have cows now, have 3 cows out there and 2 little pigs and 108 chickens.
108.
108. And I also have a tractor. That was one of the first things I bought. I had to get a tractor. I need it because we have to you got to keep the weeds down. We've got 6 acres here. It's not that big. And, we have an arena, a horse arena in front that we allow the local kids. They just sign a release of liability, and the kids come ride their horses. We live in a horse community. It's kind of like what I call it, the Los Gatos of Reading, if there is such a thing. But the people out here are ranchy type people. They got pigs, they got goats, they got sheep, they have horses, cows, that kind of thing, chickens, pig. They got it's a lot of livestock around. So, and this farm was suited for livestock. So we basically did that. We also do the market farm, putting up the farm stand this year. My wife's got a green thumb, being from Thailand, a farmer from Thailand. So that's helpful. But I'm her labor. I do the irrigation, the digging, the building, all that
So I
kind of
don't
stuff.
forget, tell me the name of your company that you sell your
Well, we got Sunshine Farms. It's not listed. I use a free website to market our farm. It's
Okay.
called Local Hens.
Okay.
and we're on there. You can search for any farm, any local small farm operation, whether it's livestock or food in your area. You go on localhens.com and you can find local eggs, this kind of things, or meat, vegetables, that kind of stuff. And there's not a lot of listings on there, but I put it on there and I've had some activity there, but I just wanted somewhere where I can direct people to for the farming stuff. We also do farmers market under our business name called Freeze Dried Specialty. I started a freeze dried operation in the next county over where we freeze dry tropical fruit and foods, grilled cheese sandwich, tomato soup,
Well, Carl, you
hearty
make
beef
that sound
chili.
really like a of course, we just freeze dry all this stuff. There had to be a lot of work that went into that and a lot of training. I mean, you're used to baking things and you build things. That's what you do. You
Yeah,
learn new stuff, but you
I
to get
did.
into this freeze drying business, that's a big deal.
Well, being a building guy, working with security in these big corporate buildings, a part of our job was to keep people safe and be prepared. I was a Boy Scout, be prepared, the motto, be prepared for the worst, but expect the best. So I've always been kind of prepared. I always have water, extra food, extra fuel, ways to fuel for barbecuing and propane, all this kind of stuff. So you could cook if power goes out. You have stuff for lights and this kind of a thing. So I've always been prepared. So I had a beef jerky company back in the 90s where it was dehydration, and so I did that. So, uh, when I was selling the house, I decided, "What are we gonna do when we get up there to earn in to bring money in?" I said, "Well, I know what I'll do. I'll do freeze-dried foods," because the way things are going with COVID and the world was coming to an end, which it still seems like it might be, but who knows? We'll see. Hopefully not. And, so I bought some freeze dryers and then had them shipped up to a storage place and where we were moving to. And they sat there for about a year, got my proper and got the electricians to come put the proper power in and got those set up.
Gotcha.
And we
So
started freeze drying food. So I probably got about 600 batches of freeze dried food under my belt and several thousand pounds of food have been freeze dried. And not everything's a success. There's some trial and error. It's a big experiment. New things are experiment. We've got some new experiments going on right now. Latest of which is an organic fresh raspberry, guitar chocolate, white chocolate bundt cake with a white chocolate ganache frosting that we freeze dried in little bite-sized pieces, and people love it. Oh,
gotcha. I remember the day that you came down and brought a big box of your products, and I was pretty blown away.
yeah,
The I mean, you had the soups, you had
yeah.
all kinds of vegetables and I mean, and herbs, things I would never buy, but now I've got them in my cupboard and they're so handy, right? And so all of this stuff, it was just delicious, absolutely delicious. Everything that I've opened of yours has been absolutely phenomenal. So
So if you
you've
do get
learned a
something
lot.
that's not delicious, let me know and I'll fix that.
Okay. Gotcha.
Anyway, sorry.
So the thing I'm most excited about now that you're up to are your eggs. I had
Yeah.
been ordering my eggs from a company back east, phenomenally expensive, but they were low polyunsaturated fats and the nutritional profile was so far ahead of even the best eggs that I could get here at a local supermarket. And you brought me some of your eggs. Man, they are amazing, just amazing. So I know you're trying to get to the point where you can sell those, but as soon as you do and ship them, as soon as you do, let me know because I've got a lot of patients that will love your eggs. I
Yeah.
mean, tell us about the vitamins and nutrients in eggs, especially in your eggs.
Well, in eggs in general, but that's the when you say my eggs, the difference is that we allow our chickens to forage in the grass, and we find there's a big difference in the eggs between summer and when things are dry and when things are green and damp and wet because the chickens can actually scratch into the dirt and get the bugs and the worms and all that kind of stuff, and they can eat the fresh grass and this kind of stuff. So it's giving them a lot of the more aminos. It does something to the proteins. I forgot what the protein. I've got some notes here, but the proteins in their eggs. depending on the quality of their diet, it changes the density of the egg whites, and also some of the things in the egg yolk. But in general, eggs, I had to make a list 'cause there's so much stuff in an egg. You got all the B vitamins, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B9, and B12, A, E, D, K2, choline. The yolks are chock full of choline, which is
Oh,
a,
yeah.
neurotransmitter helper. And then the minerals, I have a list of minerals here somewhere, but there's a bunch of minerals. There's omega-3s. Oh, the big one that I like is the lutein and zea zeaxanthin. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah,
The
so for it's good eggs are good for everything. I mean, muscle growth,
It's like a giant
neurotransmitter.
multivitamin, and,
Yeah, but when you get that level of lutein and zeaxanthin and choline, those are so powerful for the eyes and for the brain. It's the perfect brain food. One of the things about eggs, for the listeners, there's a scale called the amino acid utilization scale. And so they take different foods and they see how much of it will actually go to make protein. Like a steak, for example, less than 30% of that meat will actually go to make muscle mass. It'll break down in a variety of ways and you'll get lots of things out of it, but eventually a lot of sugar out of it, even. And so the amino acid utilization scale is seeing how much of that product will actually go to make muscle. The highest level is mother's milk, human mother's milk, at almost 50%. But the second highest are eggs, good quality eggs with an amino acid utilization that's more than twice eating a steak. So, good eggs, boy, that's right at the heart of everything. Thank you for joining me on The Balancing Point. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow the show, share it with a friend, and leave a review. Feeling out of balance? Most approaches just manage symptoms. Here, we get to the root. So, real healing, real clarity, and balance can begin. Visit AlamedaAcupuncture.com. That's AlamedaAcupuncture.com to learn more, explore our supplements, or book a call. We'd love to hear from you.